everyone, welcome to another edition of the Code Remix Weekly. With you here today are my name is Tim Twake, and with me my co-host Tom.
Hello, and I have my co-host Nazgul the cat here. He doesn't know much about refactoring source code, but he's enthusiastic.
That helps. So as always, we're going to take you through a bit of the things new in the past week. And then we're going to do a deeper dive into a particular topic this week, focusing on how the Jenkins CI project is using OpenRewrite to help modernize the plugins that they have under their wings. But first up, I'm going to take you through a couple of tabs that you've come to expect to show you some of the things new in the past week. And the first thing that is new, and it is very new, is that we now have support for the Android source sets in the Rewrite Gradle plugin. It's so new that it's been released just some seconds ago, I think, 19 minutes ago already. So that's quite a long time for things to be available. So if you go to the version 6.22.0 of the Rewrite Gradle plugin, you should now be able to run recipes against Android projects. So pretty neat. It's been a while in the making, and now of course we hope to expand the catalog of recipes that we have with things particularly for Android. So it should be good to see this land, and then from there hope that it gets picked up further. Now, another thing that is new is that we have some new recipes in our catalog, and one of these was contributed by a good friend of ours to add support for migrating you to the 3.17 version of the Apache POI project. And what is neat about the implementation here is that it heavily uses the refaster style of recipes, which you probably know, where you have a number of before template annotated methods and a single after template annotated method. And we will figure out the steps to replace anything that we find in these before template annotated methods with the content found in the after template method. And this was enough to get us most of the way onto the latest 3.17 release of Apache POI. And of course, beyond that, there's going to be more changes to do still. And some of those can be achieved declaratively. And it's a really nice use case of showing you how you can achieve a fully new migration. We didn't have this before, and it was just fully contributed by a good friend of ours to the project, and now available for anyone through the Rewrite Apache project. We'll release next week to make this available beyond the snapshot that we have currently. But know that it is coming, and if you have that use case, that should be really helpful. Also new the past week is a recipe that migrates something for you that was added in Java 7. It doesn't always have to be shiny and new. It can also be recipes that were just not picked up previously. And our good friend Sean Sullivan has added this one to the recipe catalog, where if you were using math.random, we are now going to instead suggest that you use the thread local random. And this again is a recipe that uses the refaster style of recipes, such that there's really only 2 lines to the whole recipe implementation. And then it's hooked into the Java 7 migration to replace any place where you have math.random with this one, which is some 90 times faster, which is pretty decent, I would say. And like I said, it's now hooked into any Java migration that you run. So no matter where you find this, maybe in some tests or anything, it's going to be picked up and migrated still. So be sure to keep running your Java migration recipes, even if you are already on the latest versions, because you might pick up some of the new recipes that we keep adding in here. So then beyond that, there's a couple more things that I want to take you through. And the first one is that in 2 weeks, our colleague Mike will be on a webinar with the folks from Gitbook. And there you can learn all about how we actually write the docs that we have at OpenRewrite and Modern. And some of the automations that we've introduced to make it easy to do a new release of the docs whenever a new version of OpenRewrite comes out. So be sure to tune in. It'll be on September 17th between 5 and 6 the Central European time zone. And add 6 to 9 hours if you are in the US to get your, or subtract 6 to 9 hours if you're in the US for your time zone. Then also in September, well, a week later, is that Sam is going to present at the Gradle DPE Summit, together with Brian Demers from Gradle on maintaining builds at scale. So if you want to see that, then be sure to tune in there. This is going to be in San Francisco on the 25th, 4th, and 25th, I believe. Okay. Yeah, 24th and 25th. So beyond that, it's going to be a busy month in September because our colleague Justine will be presenting at the Java user group in Montreal, where she'll be giving a French language presentation on modernizing your code base with OpenRewrite and Modern. So if you're in the neighborhood, be sure to attend there. We finally see Justine present on all the smart things that she does, as opposed to me presenting on trying to present on the things that she does. So have a look at that. And then also we are going to be at JConf Dev. Let me try to pull that up as well for you. With this tab, we're going to be there on the 24th and 25th, 24th in Dallas, in Texas. And there you can learn about developing recipes with OpenRewrite through the workshop that is offered there. And then finally, as I briefly showed you last week, is that we have a new ebook coming out pretty soon. If you want to get your hands on this latest version, then we suggest that you scan the QR code that is on the screen right now. And I can also share that link with you in the chat. And then from there, you should be able to read all of the how we use AI, how you can use AI technologies at work, and how we have used them to do reliable refactoring at a very large scale through the Modern platform. So be sure to check it out. Scan the QR code or click on the link, and from there, you're able to read all of this the moment it comes out. So that is it for the updates for the past week. So with that, we're going to bring on two friends of the show, which is the first one, Valentin, and the next one is Sridhar Kumar. And we're going to talk about how they have been using OpenRewrite and to modernize plugins for the Jenkins project. So yeah, welcome guys. Thanks for joining on the show.
Hello, thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here. Very nice to be invited. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's pleasant to be here, and thanks for inviting us to this meetup.
Absolutely. So could you maybe each give a short introduction of your involvement with Jenkins and your involvement with OpenRewrite?
Yeah, sure. So hello, I'm Valentin. So I'm from Switzerland. So basically, I'm a Jenkins contributor since many years, and since this year, I also participate as a mentor to the Google Summer of Code program. And Sridhar here was my mentee, and we developed this tool based on the OpenRewrite for plugin refactoring.
Yes, very good.
So I'm Sridhar Shivakumar, and I'm an undergraduate student from India. And yeah, as Valentin said, I participated in the Google Summer of Code program as a contributor. And in the past few weeks, we just developed a tool which leverages the power of OpenRewrite to modernize the Jenkins plugins.
Yeah, very good.
Right on. So we talk about plugins being maintained for Jenkins. Like, what kind of scale is that? Like, how many kinds of plugins are we talking here?
Is more or less 2,000 plugin on the ecosystem, so it's quite large. There is let's say an history. Yeah, there is an history. So Jenkins is not really a new tool, so there is all the history behind, and
Right.
yeah, pretty much a plugin for everything.
Yeah. It does sound like a real challenge to try to keep such a varied ecosystem kind of all marching forward together.
Yeah, the good point is that it's very flexible, that to allow developers to develop and extend Jenkins as much as he wants, but yeah, the side effect of that is that over the time, some plugin gets either deprecated or doesn't follow best practice.
Yeah.
Have issue with a newer Java version and those kind of things. And it's really the challenge that we are facing is that we had more and more outdated plugin and issue with that, and also preventing, let's say, some evolution on the core, because you cannot remove things. You are obliged to deprecate because you have no way to push back those changes to the plugin.
Right.
Yeah. And then,
So yeah,
and then
go ahead, Tim.
the tool you developed, it's the plugin modernizer tool, and I'll share a link in the chat as well. And then, could you maybe explain a bit about the approach you took in developing this tool?
Yeah, so perhaps I can share my screen if you can grant me. Yes. Yes, so perhaps some words, like I was saying, is that we had some ideas on the Google Summer of Code about creating a new tool, or at least using OpenRewrite to perform those changes. And in fact, it's not only applying change, but also to have a bit more visibility on the plugin. So what we call the metadata, for example, which version of Jenkins core plugin is using, what are the Java version that the plugin can use, and those kind of things. So we're a bit blind on the visibility of those very large ecosystem. So that's why we had this idea to develop something around OpenRewrite. So we came of the idea to create a Java application, a CLI that is using OpenRewrite. Because Jenkins is not only a controller and plugins, but there is also all an infrastructure behind. For example, the update center. So when you download or you want to install a plugin on your instance, you will interact with the update center that will give you the plugin. So there is all this infrastructure behind, and we have also other tools that were developed over the years. One of them is the plugin health score. Is basically a ranking on the plugin to help administrator to know if it's a good idea or not to install the plugin. And also we have other stats on the infrastructure. So we wanted to connect also those systems and get information on this infrastructure. So basically, we came with this kind of idea. So we have a CLI application that the user can run. Some core module that will manage, for example, the compilation of the plugin, because we want to know first if this plugin actually compile, because if not, we will just abort and consider that this plugin just doesn't work or was abandoned over the year. The other part is invoking the Maven rewrite plugin. So we rely on a library that is the Maven invoker library, because all our plugins are Maven based. And another step to verify after applying the change that the plugin still compile and test are running.
Can we zoom in on this diagram a little bit? Make it a bit bigger, maybe?
I will try to zoom, perhaps.
Thank you.
Better? Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, with some integration also with the GitHub API to open the pull request, clone the repository, and those kind of things, and the integration with the update center and other system of the Jenkins infrastructure. So yes, you will find all the code on this repository. So it was developed over 3 months by Sridhar during the Google Summer of Code. So it's of course not finalized, not finished, but we are actively looking for contributor and existing plugin maintainer to also improve and try the tool on their plugin.
So if you're looking for maintainers and contributors, is there a place where people should reach out to you if they are interested in getting involved or have some Jenkins plugins they're looking to modernize?
So at the moment we have the Slack channel that I can give also, and there is also a GitHub that the Jenkins developer are using. So that's some channel. There is also the developer list that people can write and ask a question on that. Or just open an issue or pull request directly on the repository is also a good way to collaborate.
Yes, I do.
Right on.
Now, as part of this work, I think you have developed a couple of new recipes. Some of them in the what was it? The plugin modernizer core. Could you explain a bit about how the process was for you to develop these recipes?
Yes, so perhaps Sridhar can explain a bit this part about we created some scanning recipe to extract the metadata on either the POM file or the Jenkins file.
Yeah, sure. So can I present my screen, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sure.
Can you see the screen, right?
We
Not
don't
yet.
see your screen yet. You need to hit the present button at the bottom.
Just click the present button and share the screen. Okay, wait a minute.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. So in the process of building the tool, we developed a scanning recipe. So basically, which trying to collect metadata for the plugins, and we try to use those metadata in our tool to fasten some kinds of process. For example, we don't know what JDK whether the plugin uses to compile itself, so we can extract a JDK version which the plugin will be compatible with the JDK version. So we kind of derive those versions from the Jenkins file. So basically, the Jenkins file have a versions of the JDKs the plugin is compatible of. So we just try to extract the Groovy parser. So using the Groovy parser up here. Wait a minute. So yeah. So we're just kind of using the Groovy parser to extract the JDK version from the Jenkins file, and we just using those JDK info to compile the plugin with the correct JDK version. Also, we have other kinds of methods to extract the amount of dependencies used up here. Wait a minute, let me show it up here. Yeah. So it is also stored a number of files that the project have. So we just try to pause the list of files present in a repository, and we just try to store all the files stored in that repository, and then some kind of basic details like what are the dependencies available in that recipe, and we're just storing the basic properties of that. And also the main thing up here is the Jenkins version used to buy that plugin, and also some of the flags and the files used in this plugin. So these are the things we basically right now using the scanning recipe to get and store in our metadata of. And one more advantage of using the scanning recipe up here is we just try to store it in a cache memory. Yeah. So wait a minute. So
Yeah, because we want
yeah,
to
yeah.
store them also
So
those metadata publicly to get some stats and do some reports also on the plugins. So at the
yeah.
moment we
So
just store them locally, but we will also publish them at some point.
Yeah, it seems like something you
that being
could
said,
put into a data table, for example.
Not exactly into a data table, but we're just trying to store it. So currently, we're just trying to store it in a GitHub repository so that it can be utilized by other tools like a plugin health score system to analyze the scoring of the plugins in a better way. So yep, that's our current idea right now. So this is the place where we're just trying to store the metadata in our cache memory. So we just need to update the logic to store it up in kind of like a repository or in a central way, so that we can just
Sure.
be accessed in other repositories and other projects too.
Mhm.
Yep. So this is up here, and also, this is our initial version of a proposal. So this is the thing that I just proposed in the starting of the Google Summer of Code period. And I just also contacted with the OpenRewrite community. Thanks to Tim and other community members for helping me a lot to know more about the community. So yeah, you can just use this wait a minute. So you can just use this website to know how we just developed the proposal for this project and what are the changes that we made through the project way. And this is the project repository in the GitHub. You can just use it up to contribute to our tune. And the next thing up here is, so this is the blog that we just posted in the Jenkins CI community. So you can just read it through and to know more about our tool and how we just process through each phases of the GSO community. Yep. So yeah, that's it.
Very cool. What have some of the impacts of this been? Do you have like a number of repositories or plugins that you've already run this on? This, yeah, I'm curious what. Yeah,
So for the moment, we didn't run it at scale because we want also to focus on the most used plugin, because there are plugins that are, let's say, so outdated and without
Right.
any, let's say, adoption with 10, 15 installation, and those
Right.
kind of things is not worth the effort to even try
Absolutely.
to modernize them. Also, they are using very old GDK that you cannot
Right.
even compile the plugin anymore, so is not the effort to do that. So
Mhm.
perhaps the idea is to run it on perhaps the top 200 plugins, and to ensure that all those one always follow the best practice and always follow the current archetype of Jenkins.
Yeah, that approach makes a lot of sense to me. Is there's always this long tail of edge cases and one-offs and things that are not as susceptible to automation. But if you can take the most popular ones and use automation kind of in perpetuity to like keep them current, so they're just always current, then they never fall behind and get into that dreaded status of being, not worth the trouble to keep up to date, or falling off the radar, or even worse, becoming unmaintainable legacy code that a lot of people still use and are suffering with.
Yeah, it's true. And right now, let's say this process is quite manual. So when there are some, let's say, refactoring or let's say breaking change, generally we take the 200 first plugin and check if they are using those API and perform the change there.
Right.
So yeah,
I imagine.
definitely something that we will apply much more in the future. Anytime there is a change in terms of dependency or Java API, whatever, is to push it as soon as possible on the most adopted plugin.
What were you about to say, Tim?
And of course, we have that recipe library for Jenkins projects, which is both to help maintain Jenkins plugins themselves, as well as for folks using Jenkins pipelines. They can modernize them there as well. So yeah, we'd love to expand the recipe catalog that we have there to ensure that the plugins are kept up to date, as well as the build pipelines that folks use.
Yeah, actually, our CLI is using this artifact, and also we package a declarative recipe that use the existing code of this library.
And I imagine that, like you said, you have your health dashboard of which plugins are maybe the best maintained and the worst maintained. And I think you'll probably see like two lines crossing, one with the plugin health and the other one with popularity. It'd be interesting to see the intersection where there's often used plugins, but the plugin health is starting to warn you, and then see what we can do to get those back in shape again. Because
Yeah,
I
do you
imagine
have
2
any
in the
of that
morning.
of that data available to show today? I would be curious what kind of survey results you had found from the ecosystem.
Yeah, I can show you actually what we have on the health score if you share my screen. So I took one of the first plugin on the list. So basically, on the plugin site, there is a tab about the health score, and there is a set of probes that tell you what is good and what is not good, and calculating a score about that. Actually, it was another GSOC project 2 or 3 years ago. At the moment, the probes are quite static and simple, but we want also to use the metadata that we extract using OpenRewrite to build more probe, and especially about the dependency management. That is
Yeah.
also quite a difficult topic on the Jenkins ecosystem, when plugin package library and then you have a plugin depending on another plugin, so it can be quite difficult. So it's the kind of information also we want to add here on the health score.
Now, maybe I'm ignorant about Jenkins plugins, but when you add a bunch of Jenkins plugins to the build, do all of their dependencies end up on one class path together, or are they kind of like run independently of each other?
No, they have different class paths, and if you have one plugin that depends on another, it delegates its class path to this one, and then delegate to the core. And in fact, that's a problem when there was a lot of dependency added on Jenkins core in the past. So it means that plugin can consume those dependency, and when we upgrade them, it means that we need to identify all the plugin that's potentially use this dependency. So we try now to reduce the API surface on core and extract the third-party library into what we call the API plugin. And then one plugin can depend on this API and doesn't cause issue on other plugin.
Smart. That makes sense. Yeah, I can see just dependency hygiene and keeping kind of the supply chain being a very labor intensive part of keeping an ecosystem like this always up to date that automation can really help with.
Yeah, and it's a very difficult tool to maintain if you don't have any tool with that, because sometimes you
Right.
get very strange class path issue or class not found, and you need to debug why this happened. And perhaps you have the same class but replicated on multiple jar and those kind of things. So it can be
Right.
quite difficult to identify those issues. So
Right.
that's why we want in the future to when a plugin need a third-party library, is that we create an API plugin. So it's a plugin that just package this library instead of directly adding the dependency in the plugin package. Because at the end you can end up with a different version of a library that sometimes are not compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing that I have just on the side of like parsing Jenkins files, right now, the Jenkins file .groovy will get parsed as a Groovy script, but we don't have we don't put any particular class path in there. So I wonder if there's something we could do to improve how we parse Jenkins files, like we notice a Jenkins file. Is there some way we could figure out some version of like the Jenkins API to put on the class path when we parse it, so that Jenkins Groovy script would be parsed with better type attribution?
I guess is a difficult topic to be honest. Right now, we just parse the Jenkins file as is, so we extract the call inside and transform them. But I don't know if we can enrich this for That's
Fair enough. Well, if you
Yes.
think of something in that area, let me know, and we can see if we can improve the parsing of these files. Because we'd, love to continue to support you in these kind of efforts to keep these ecosystems always up to date.
Yeah, let's say that for the Jenkins organization on GitHub is not much an issue because we are using pipeline libraries to encapsulate those things. So normally the Jenkins file are quite simple and they have just few lines. But if we imagine a case that you have many pipeline in an organization and you need to perform some refactoring on them, perhaps you need more information about actually
Right.
the instance that is running those pipeline.
Right.
Because of course we do something similar for Gradle, where we also have our groupie parser as the base. But then knowing that certain plugins are active, we put them on the class path. And I imagine you'll have a top 5 of plugins that are pretty much always present. That might be helpful to add to the class path to get better type attribution and more enriched elements to be able to do modernization.
Perhaps there could be an approach that we could use is that there is on a repository on the Jenkins organization to test a pipeline. I think it's called the pipeline test unit. And it's using also an approach that you add plugins to the class path so that you can at least mock the Jenkins internal. And that's perhaps something that could be used also to create this parsing.
That sounds good. I'm not finding it just yet, but it's a nice.
It's
nice
more focused on
addition.
test. Yeah, it's more focused definitely on testing pipeline code, but perhaps can be inspired for this use case of Jenkins file parsing.
So what happens to this after the Google Summer of Code is over? Are you guys going to be able to keep working on this and keep maintaining this, or is it going to kind of coast unless someone else picks it up?
So we hope to have enough time to continue to contribute on it, and we expect also other members of the community to at least test it, report the bugs, report improvement, what they want to see. Or perhaps is quite common that let's say large project are spread across several GSOC years. So it can be another project next year to extend the tool and also implement more code transformation recipe on OpenRewrite. So it's also a possibility. There are also soon the Oktoberfest. That is an event that people can contribute. So yeah, perhaps we can have some contribution on this project at those moments.
And what kind of model are you thinking of for getting these changes made? Are you imagining that you put this tool out there and that the current maintainers of Jenkins plugins see it and adopt it and start running it themselves as part of their kind of like daily or weekly or just whatever their process is?
I think there is two different use cases here. One of them is giving this tool to maintainer to help them in those refactoring tasks, and the other one is let's say for the Jenkins organization to get visibility on those plugins. So at some point we cannot, let's say, force a maintainer to adopt this, but it's really a recommendation. So I guess that we don't want to open pull request on all the Jenkins repository, but we prefer to, let's say, warn maintainer, hey, there is an issue here, it's better to do that. And if you want to fix it, you just need to run this command and it will fix it. So probably is more the approach that I would see for those plugin EGM.
Do you think you would automate that, where you might say, like, go run the tool on a bunch of Jenkins plugin repositories, and on the ones where it finds, you know, a problem or would suggest an upgrade, you could have it like open an issue that in the repro steps was like, hey, run this tool and it'll solve it for you.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't thought about that, but yeah, could be an option to use also issue at the repository level. I was thinking more about the plugin health score, because everything is already in place with the UI, with
that makes sense.
The backend. So perhaps just adding more probes and include them would be.
Is it possible on that plugin health score page that you could have like a button or something that they could click to go like take them to run the tool kind of thing?
Yeah, it could be something like that, or at least the command to run on your machine to fix this issue. That would be the idea.
Yeah.
Because we have had a friend of ours, Steve Hill, who's also a contributor on Jenkins. He has been doing similar work in helping projects modernize, but then using the Rewrite Jenkins recipe library and the modern platform. So of course, yeah, well, it would be interesting to see if that is a model that you would like to extend as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think both are complementary. Is that on one side with the third-party recipe on the OpenRewrite organization that will continue to evolve and also receive a contribution, and on the other side with this CLI tool that either plugin maintainer or the Jenkins infra will use to also get information on other sources like the update center and other stats about the plugin. So I don't think it's exclusive at all. It's really perhaps different use case and different users.
Yep. No, yeah, sounds good. Because of course, yeah, we'd love to integrate what we can, and we do understand that you have specific needs to integrate with the update center that are maybe not best served with the public modern instance that we have. But it's maybe fun to very briefly look at what Steve has been using, which is this developer center where you can see the 2200 repositories in there. And a quick insight into which parent POM version they are using. So you can see that some of them are on really old versions, but just one is on version 1.x of the parent. And then, of course, this is what you're targeting, probably the ones that are reasonably maintained or slightly out of date, and not the ones that are maybe a decade behind. But could be fun to see and run, of course, the upgrades too here and see how that affects. So. Yeah, that's just a very quick, brief look at the work that Steve has been doing in this way to upgrade plugins as needed. So,
yeah, I wonder why that middle dev center visualization about Jenkins.version wasn't working. Maybe that's something we need to look into.
It's well, I don't quite know why it wasn't working, but we'll get it sorted.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anything else you guys want to say or be sure we cover while we're here?
Perhaps, yeah, about visualization, I perhaps can share also one of the tool that, let's say, was also a GSOC project to modernize the UI is about the infrastructure statistics. So, for example, we can know the usage of plugins. There are also information about the installation of those plugins over the time. So yeah, I was wondering also if it's something that now we are using it on the Jenkins organization could be used also to visualize the plugin metadata in a similar way. So let's say we already have those tools that help the organization admin or plugin maintainer to know what happened with the plugin, and why not also include code metrics or dependency metrics there. There are statistical, so I think some kind of dependency graph and those kind of
that's kind of fun.
things.
So this is showing Jenkins plugins that have dependency relationships on each other.
Yes, exactly. It's the dependency
okay, so
between
Jenkins core is the sun in the middle there that they're all depending on.
The sun in the middle of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So yet said that there are many integration that we can think of using this tool that we develop using OpenRewrite.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, very neat to see the work. Like we provide the tools, and it's always then fun to see what folks do with it and the use cases they have. And I think it's very noble to use all of this to help maintain those 2,000 plugins for the wider community who then builds their own software using this. So
definitely.
Yeah, it's always heartening to see people taking responsibility for common spaces and have not a tragedy of the commons, but a triumph of the commons, where people like yourself come in and say, I want to make this better for everyone. So yeah, love that.
Yeah, and it helps also, let's say, core or plugin contributor, because when you have technical debt like this, at some point you need to do something, because adding new feature or changing APIs gets so complicated and stay for years in the code base. And at the end, nobody understand what was done 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a real pleasure to hear about your efforts and to see this tool. And I hope that we can continue collaborating on making the Jenkins ecosystem a beacon in the open source world of staying up to date and using automation to avoid getting bogged down in by your own software supply chain. I think ecosystems like Jenkins are a great example of how of the problems that come with success. Like because it worked, because it solved a real problem that people had, it built up this massive ecosystem of plugins. And so yeah, success creates its own problems, and we occasionally get people who are offended at the idea of using automation to maintain their code and their software supply chain. And it's like, no, it's not an attack. Even if you do everything right, that still creates problems that you need to manage. So yeah, love to see stuff like this.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, thank you both very much for joining us.
So
then,
thanks to you guys as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy
Thank you
to.
so much. And I'm glad to work with OpenRewrite community as well in the future. Yeah, we'll see you soon up there.
Yeah, we'd love to see more. Yeah. So with that, yeah, thank you all for joining in, and then hope to see you all next week when we'll be diving into a new topic still. So until then, thanks a lot, and be in touch. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.